Hi, what's up? So my name is Pekka Hyysalo, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about responsibility. But first, we're gonna go back, and I'm gonna show you maybe my favorite video clip. It's a trailer of a movie in which I was in. No. This video was dedicated for me because that video was the end of my dream, and everything went wrong, but it was super quick. There was a huge sudden blast of wind which grabbed me on my last jump, and I could do nothing, but I overshot the landing of a pretty big kicker. I over-rotated my trick, landed sideways, and crashed. These were some of the diagnoses I gained. But basically, my life was really uncertain. My life was basically over. And then I managed to stay alive. I was transferred to a hospital, and it was a long way. In the first hospital, I was kept about 3 weeks, and then I was flown across Finland to my hometown, and there I laid a couple weeks more until I was transferred to another hospital in which I spent the whole summer, and that was the most boring summer I have ever lived. But then, in the end of the summer, I got into the best rehabilitation center in Finland, and I was stoked because I got to do work for myself and for my own well-being. But then I got really depressed because I wanted to get back to my profession, to my dream, which was to be a professional free skier. But it was most likely never going to happen again. I asked from the doctor, and he said that, no, you're not gonna be ever able to ski again. And I was really depressed. But I decided that if I have been able to do this with my life, there is a possibility for me, and I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna do what I did when I was a little boy. I'm gonna have some fun. And suddenly, I was not depressed anymore, and everything felt way lighter and better. I couldn't ski runs like this. This, by the way, is my favorite run of all time. It was in Austria, and I was skiing soft powder snow. It was like a dream. But otherwise, I just competed, filmed, and basically it was really awesome as well. I was living my dream. I wanted to go back to that dream, and I wanted to get back on the snow. And this is my first skiing video from 2011. I was back on my skis. Check it out. That did not look so awesome, but I had a blast because I knew that if I would ski enough, I would get way better in it. And this picture is a couple weeks later from Sweden, and I was having a blast, and I was getting better. But skiing took me to Austria again, and that gave me an idea about a brand which would support my rehabilitation. The name of the brand is Fight Back. Fight Back came and changed my whole life. I decided that I want to learn to run again. I could not run at all, but I decided that I am gonna learn to run. And by the way, I'm gonna run a marathon again. I had no idea how hard it was gonna be, but we arranged a running event in my hometown, Turku. And this far, a half marathon is the longest distance I have been able to run. But running is not the greatest thing in the world, in my opinion. I think that the greatest achievement which I have gotten is being chosen to be the most positive person in Finland. The year was 2014, and it was really amazing. Like I had lost everything, but still I was chosen to be the most positive person in whole Finland. And one of the reasons for that is that I did not give up. I kept fighting back no matter of anything. I did my work, and the work has really paid off. I have exercised a lot. I have searched for alternative physiotherapy solutions, and I have gone into the cold. This picture is from my hometown's river last February, and it was freezing, but cold is a friend of mine. And cold water is the same as snow, except that snow is way lighter and wider. And now I'm gonna show the best skiing video of my new life to you. It was last spring in the spring before that in Levi. So that was pretty okay in my opinion, but way better, not as fun, but way more important than skiing is my ability to speak again. And back in 2010, I was unable to perform even one word, but in 2016, I was chosen the best speaker in whole Finland, and that is something pretty unbelievable. My favorite thing about speaking is, of course, influencing the audience, and influencing brings a huge responsibility with it, and that's something I really have only begun to think about in the last years. And responsibility for me is my response to a certain situation, and I have the possibility to respond to it in whichever way I like, and that is pretty amazing in my opinion. And I have been giving many speeches and many different kinds of audiences, and every speech is kind of a little bit different. I loved to perform for kids in schools, but I have been also performing for elderly and basically everything in between. And speaking is, in my opinion, the most valuable skill human possesses, and it's really great. And now we are living a time in which responsibility is really on every one of us shoulders, and we need to think how we live, and we have all the solutions we need for a better tomorrow. It's our choice whether we are going to use them. And I am, of course, pretty positive about the future. And I hope that we will grab ourselves from the neck and we are gonna have a better tomorrow than we had yesterday. But that's only my own dream. This is our fight back. We are able to do whatever we want. And for me, there has been many opportunities, and I have been blessed with such amazing collaborations, and everything in my life is pretty great. And it's really only a matter of the information and how do we spread it around the world. I have been able to rehabilitate myself with eating well, sleeping well, and of course exercising a lot. But it's our own choice. What are we gonna do with our life? And like I said, this is our fight back. I have nothing more to say to you, except that I just wrote a book. It's called Vastuun Fight Back. It's only in Finnish for now. So all the Finns go running to the biohacker stand, and there are actually 9 copies of that new book, and I promise to sign each and every one of them for you. This was my presentation. Thank you for listening.